Welcome to the School Leaders Podcast. My name is Dr. Gastred Harrigan, the podcast for current and emerging school leaders, those who support and supervise them. You will hear from passionate educational leaders who are transforming their schools, communities, and creating positive outcomes for students. I will also share my personal reflections and tips from over 15 years as a school leader. Together, we will talk about how to level up our schools and leadership practices. Hello. Welcome to the School Leaders Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Gastred Harrigan. Thank you for making the School Leaders Podcast part of your growth journey. Some people seem as though they were born with many of the qualities required to be a good leader. But the reality is that most of us need to work at being a good leader by continually developing our skills. As a natural part of our growth and development process, we are bound to make mistakes. Even the most seasoned school leaders or principals can sabotage their success by losing focus and stepping on destructive landmine. Mistakes can certainly be detrimental to your success, and some mistake can effectively end your career if you are not careful. In today's episode, I dig into leadership landmine and how to avoid them. But before we get too deep into today's episode, I want to encourage you to join the School Leaders Podcast community on Facebook. There, we continue and extend our conversation from the episode. Don't forget to also check out my website at www.drgharrigan.com. There you can listen to the podcast, read the monthly blog, and sign up for our monthly newsletter. I would like to also thank all of you who are sharing the podcast on Facebook, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn. Thank you. When you share the podcast, please tag me so I can personally thank you. Take a moment right now to subscribe to the podcast and share this episode. And don't forget to also leave a 5-star rating and a positive comment. When you do, it helps other listeners to find the podcast. Let's get started. In today's episode, I'm going to share leadership landmine every school leader should avoid. As you listen to this episode, pay close attention to each leadership landmines and strategy to avoid stepping on them. Landmine number 1, today's success. Have you ever heard what got you here won't keep you here? Many who trip on this landmine are those who are enjoying the fruit of their labor, the seed of their success. It is important to celebrate your success or achievement. However, you should not dwell so much in them that you do not move forward and you do not move forward to what lies ahead of you. If you're still celebrating a victory from 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, you need to know that life is not a snapshot. You cannot take a picture of when you are on the pinnacle of your success, when you're at the top of the mountain, and you say to yourself, things will never change. The problem is that it will. And if you don't change with it, what got you to the top yesterday won't allow you to stay there today. The same goes for failure. If you had a bad day yesterday, a bad week, a bad month, even a bad year, or a significant mistake, you can take relief in knowing that tomorrow is another day. The ability to let go of your failures or even successes is absolutely essential. In fact, a sign of a growing person or a growing leader is that you are able to move forward and that yesterday's success no longer thrills you. Not because you were bored, but because you are growing. So how you avoid today's success landmine is first, you need to recognize it. That's the first thing, is that you need to recognize this landmine. Joe Frazier once said that the punch that knocks you out is the one you don't see. The punch that knocks you out is the one you don't see. You need to recognize it before you can actually avoid it. Second, you need to keep growing. Growth equal change. Continually ask yourself, is there a better way I could do this? Is there a better strategy? Is there a better way we can reach our learning objectives? Are there better ways we could reach our learning goals? The answer is always yes. And And oftentimes what happened is that we protect the decisions we made yesterday. We become defensive of our past. We become defensive of a specific way we have made or done things in the past. Or I made this decision and we are unwilling to move forward and we become defensive of it. The key thing is that we need to do is to admit any mistakes that were made and move forward. Build on your success and don't sit on them. Landmine number 2, failure to adapt. The only guarantee in life is that everything changes. In your career, you'll likely already witness or you have experienced significant change. If it's one thing, the pandemic have taught us that things are constantly evolving. New educational model, maybe you have a new superintendent, new director, perhaps maybe your school have a new principal, a new management team, new political conditions, new market conditions have changes. Maybe a new charter school opened down the road from you and you lost 10-20% of your student population. New executive leadership team have come, and these things or these factors have changed, and things are always changing. The difficult thing is that change is constant, and that if you don't change with it, if you do not adapt, then you are going to step on this landmine. The educational sector, business, and life in general is always changing. So, how are you preparing for the unknown? Success requires good leaders to anticipate change so they can prepare. Even when you don't know exactly how things are going to change, the shape it will take, but you should always be preparing and keep your competitive edge. Because when you do face that new change, you first need to also recognize it and have the ability to adapt to the change to be successful. And quite frankly, to experience longevity as a school leader, as a principal, you need to be able to adapt to change. For those of us in the educational sector, we can learn a lot from the business world. When we look at the massive failure of Kodak to adapt to the changing marketplace and their failure to embrace the rise of digital photography, and may I add, they invented that technology, highlight the seriousness of a lot of leaders stepping on this landmine. In the same way, when we look at the demise of Blockbuster, that also demonstrate that how leadership blunders, how leadership failures to adapt can take down even a powerful, robust brand. So the question for you is, how are you preparing for the unknown? How are you preparing for the changes that will take place in your district? How are you preparing for the changes that will take place at the state legislature? How are you preparing for the changes that will take place at the federal level? How are you preparing for the changes that are being pushed by parents and even local groups? How are you preparing for the unknown? How are you preparing for the demographic shifts and changes that will impact your school community? How are you preparing for the boundary changes that will take place because of either over enrollment or under enrollment that are happening in your community or near you? How are you preparing for the new superintendent coming in, or even the new board members that will change and challenge the status quo? How are you preparing for the unknown? Jimmy Dean once says that I don't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sail to always reach my destination. I cannot change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sail to always reach my destination. How are you adjusting to reach your goal, your destination? One thing I can tell you is that failure is guaranteed if you click on autopilot and do not adapt in your leadership, do not adapt in your approaches, do not adapt in how you do business. Lack of preparation followed by lack of adaptation in a changing educational landscape will lead to boom. You just step on that landmine. To avoid this landmine, you need to find ways to anticipate change. Prepare to adapt. Prepare to adjust and evolve in your leadership and in your approach. Landmine number 3, losing trust. Leadership functions on the basis of trust. Human relationships are based on trust regardless of the type of relationship. In every relationship, trust is the core, is the basis, is the foundation. Being trustworthy means that you have demonstrated your good character. You have demonstrated that you're reliable, you're accountable, you are able to have a shared goal, and at times avoid playing politics, and that your people know they can trust you. Doing the right thing consistently matters a great deal. Trust is really the foundation on which relationship in every setting are built on. You will receive trust from those that follow you. You will receive trust from others as a result of your character, the confidence you exude, and really your consistency. Being consistent will increase trust. What is one of the things that we all have said when we are dealing with a new person or we are doing business with new people? One of the first things we all say is, how much can we trust them? So you must become a trustworthy leader. One way to build trust is to follow the golden rule. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. Be consistent. Be reliable. Keep your word. When you do so, you will not land or step on this landmine. Landmine number 4, being indecisive. As the leader, your team will look at you for confidence and direction. Nothing casts doubt on your ability to lead as much as wavering and being indecisiveness. What sets leaders apart is their ability to forge ahead in the midst of uncertainty. What really sets leaders apart is their ability to forge ahead in the midst of uncertainty, is their ability to make decisions and move forward. Being decisive doesn't mean you will always have the right answers or you are completely confident in your decision or you have all the information necessary. It means that you will always make the best decision possible with the information that you have at the time in order to keep the organization, in order to keep moving forward. The way to avoid this landmine is to make decisions based on the information that you have and then self-correct, adjust, adapt as you get more information. Landmine number 5, refusing to delegate. It is natural to fear delegating authority when at the end of the day, the responsibility still rests with you, the buck stops with you. But you know, a lot of leaders have a lot of controlling issues, refusing to let go. And if they delegate, they feel they are losing control over people and resources. Leaders who struggle with delegating authority lacks the maturity needed to move their organization forward. Learning to delegate is difficult, but it's a must-have trait. One common lie that I often see and hear that leaders tell themselves is that, well, nobody can do it better than I can. After all, you made it to the top because you were the best manager, you were the best AP, you were a good or the best principal, you were the expert. But the fact is, great leaders understand that the primary responsibility of leadership is to develop other people. And this requires delegation. Not just delegation of tasks, but of authority. Empowering your people to make decisions. Great leaders set the direction, they equip their people, but they also empower them to reach the goal, and ultimately they get out of their people's way so that they could do the real work. See, talented people want to work for and with leaders who will give them the freedom to grow, not just orders to follow. So to avoid this landmine, you need to learn to delegate and empower your people to make decisions. You have to trust them. Yes, guide them, equip them, empower them, but at the end of the day, you have to trust them to make decisions. Leadership success is an art. And quite frankly, at times it is risky. So with a few simple concepts in mind, school leaders can minimize their chance of being detonated on some of these common leadership landmines. There you have it. I hope you're able to take at least one nugget to avoid the various leadership landmines. And if you know anyone who can benefit from this episode, please share it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me today. Please consider subscribing to the podcast. Leave a 5-star rating and a comment. Share this episode with a friend and on social media. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for leadership ideas and tips. Again, thank you for joining me today. Until next time.